Today I am sharing all of my family's favorite recipes using ground turkey. Ground turkey is one of my all-time favorite meats to cook with just because it's kind of like a meat hidden gem. It's on the affordable side at the grocery store. You could buy ground turkey for a little bit cheaper than like other meats. It's less fatty than other meats, so it's like a leaner meat. And then also it is very easy to cook with. So I'm so excited to share these recipes with you today. Let's get to my kitchen and let's get to cooking. To kick us off today, we are making this turkey stroganoff, and even if you're not the biggest stroganoff fan in the world, I really recommend this one. You should give it a try. To your pot on the stove, add in a tablespoon of olive oil, then 8 ounces of sliced mushrooms. If you're not a mushroom fan, just skip the mushroom part. You don't have to add them in. But after they're cooked for about 5 minutes, just remove them and set them to the side. To the same pot the mushrooms were cooked in, just add in a pound of ground turkey. Add it in and break it up slightly, and then you're going to add in 1 diced white onion along with a tablespoon of minced garlic. You're going to just cook the ground turkey through at this point. To help thicken up the sauce, add in 3 tablespoons of flour, give it a stir until the flour no longer looks white. Then you're going to add in your seasoning, so a half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, and a teaspoon of paprika. Then add in 1/4 cup of chicken broth. Just scrape any flavorful bits off the bottom of the pot. You're kind of like deglazing the pot at this point. Next, you're going to add in 4 cups more chicken broth along with the mushrooms that we cooked up earlier. You're also going to add in your egg noodles at this point. I'm just using 8 ounces of those. Give this a stir, and you're going to let this cook on your stove for about 10 minutes or until those egg noodles are tender. To help this become creamy, I'm adding in 3/4 cup of sour cream. If you can't have cream or you don't care for sour cream, just don't add it in. Give it a stir with the heat off, and then you could serve it up. This is absolutely delicious. I have been making this stroganoff for years and years. It's kind of one of the first things I started making that I was like proud of that I made, but it's really good. There are some weeks that I just crave extreme comfort food, and that is what sloppy joes are for me. So now we are making this simple sloppy joe. It is made with ground turkey, of course. So to your pan on the stove, add in a pound of ground turkey. Just cook it up until it's browned, and then add in 1/8 cup of brown sugar, 3/4 cup of ketchup, yellow mustard. Give this a stir. Let it cook for 3 more minutes. There you go. Dinner is ready in just about 10 to 15 minutes on this night. One of the easiest, most comfort food dinners you could make. We served ours in hamburger buns with a slice of cheese on top. Like I said, this is complete comfort food for us. I didn't even serve this one with any side dishes just because I didn't feel like it on this night, but sloppy joes are a winter dinner. Now we're making these sweet and spicy turkey broccoli bowls. So to a pan on the stove, add in a tablespoon of olive oil, then add in a pound of ground turkey. Just break that ground turkey up, and you're going to cook it just until it's about 80% of the way cooked through, so not 100% of the way cooked through. Then you're going to add in 3 cups of fresh chopped up broccoli. Let this continue to cook for about 12 minutes or until that ground turkey is cooked through and the broccoli is tender. We're getting started on the sweet and spicy sauce now. So into this bowl, I added 2 tablespoons of low sodium soy sauce, a tablespoon of sriracha. If you're not a sriracha fan, don't add the sriracha in. It will be delicious without it. Tablespoon of minced garlic, tablespoon of honey. Whisk this all together super well, and then add it into your ground turkey and broccoli once it's cooked. Give this a stir, let it cook for about 3 more minutes. Just coat everything in the sauce, then you could serve this up. Here's what our bowls look like. We served ours over a bed of white rice, just with some sesame seeds over the top. This is another one of those kind of like one pan dinners that just comes together in minutes. It's very easy to throw together. It's high protein from that lean ground turkey, and it's just super delicious. This one's a good one. Now we're getting started on these meatballs. I originally wasn't going to share this recipe with you because I have it planned to go in my next lunchbox video. I've been getting lots of requests for lunchbox videos, so I'm sharing a lunchbox video very soon, and this was like for a lunch. But anyway, to this bowl, add in a pound of ground turkey, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, half a cup of panko breadcrumbs, half a cup of Parmesan cheese, 1 egg, half a teaspoon of salt, dash of pepper, and then a half a teaspoon of onion powder and and garlic powder. Just mash this up until it is well combined. Of course, these meatballs work great for dinner. You can make them with like spaghetti and meatballs, meatball subs. You could serve them with barbecue sauce. You could serve them however you choose to do so. I really enjoy making them for lunch and then just serving them with our lunches, like my husband and I's lunches, my little one's lunches. We really like to dip them in barbecue sauce when I do serve them for lunches. These store in the fridge wonderfully, also the freezer wonderfully as well. I really love making these, and I will be sharing the full recipe with you once I share it in my lunchbox video soon, so be on the lookout for that video. Now we're getting started on this low-carb turkey veggie skillet. So to a pan on the stove, add in a tablespoon of olive oil, then roll in 1 diced yellow onion. Now add in a pound of ground turkey, or you could use ground beef, ground chicken, or any meat substitute. Break that ground turkey up and cook it through. The reason why we're cooking it with the onion is just to give that turkey a lot of added flavor in the end. But once your ground turkey is cooked through, you're going to add in a tablespoon of minced garlic. You're also going to add in your seasonings. So add in a half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, then a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, half a teaspoon of oregano, and a half a teaspoon of paprika. These seasonings work so well with this dish, but you could always add in different seasonings. These are kind of like my affordable go-to seasonings. Anyway, give this a super duper good stir. Then you're going to toss in 2 zucchinis, just slice them, a 14-ounce can of fire roasted diced tomatoes, 1 pound of trimmed green beans, a half a cup of chicken broth. You could always use different veggies if you don't particularly care for the veggies that I'm using, but pull out your cookbook because you'll find this recipe on page 115. It's in the one pot meals section. All these recipes in my cookbook are so easy to throw together, and there's a high quality colored photo for every single recipe in this book. But anyway, now just give this a stir, and you are going to let it cook for about 10 to 15 minutes on the stove. You want those green beans to get tender, same with the zucchini. But once it is tender, you could just add in a half a cup to 1 cup of mozzarella cheese if you're a cheese fan like me. If you're not a cheese fan, just don't add the cheese in. This is another one of those dinners that's super versatile. You could add ingredients to it, subtract ingredients. You could really make it your own so easily. This is another one of those dinners also that you could meal prep easily. So you could make a huge batch of this for multiple dinners through the week, or you could make a big batch of it for lunches. You could freeze some of it and it reheats really well too. Now we are making this ground turkey pasta, so over to my cutting board. I'm starting out by dicing a red bell pepper into smaller pieces. I'm also dicing a yellow onion into smaller pieces as well. Over to this big pot on my stove, I added in a tablespoon of olive oil. Next, add in a pound of ground turkey. If you're looking for an affordable ground turkey brand, I find the Festive brand is super affordable at my Walmart. Then I added in my bell pepper, onion, and minced garlic. The ground turkey will help prevent the garlic from burning. Break the ground turkey up and cook it through at this point. Open up your cookbook and you will find this recipe on page 111. I have over 100 recipes in this book. There's 8 sections ranging from like breakfast, sides, dinners, and desserts. I have it all in this book. But once the ground turkey's cooked through, add in your seasonings. So a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of pepper, 2 teaspoons of chili powder, a half a teaspoon of cumin, and a half a teaspoon of paprika. But instead of all those seasonings, if you want to just add in a tablespoon of taco seasoning, you certainly can. Give this a really good stir. Then you're going to add in 1 1/4 cup of chicken broth, followed by a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce, then 8 ounces of penne pasta or any type of pasta that you have on hand. Give this a stir, scrape all those flavorful bits off the bottom of the pot. Then you're going to let this simmer on your stove for about 15 minutes. And while it's simmering, if the liquid line gets too low and you need to add more liquid in, feel free to add a little bit more water or chicken broth in until the pasta is tender. When the pasta is tender, you could serve it up how it is now, or you could add some pizzazz to your pot. If you want to add pizzazz to your pot, add in a half a cup of shredded Mexican style cheese and 1/4 cup of sour cream. Give it a stir, and oh my, this is so delicious. We topped ours with a little bit of fresh green chili. We're from New Mexico, so whenever the grocery stores have fresh green chili at this time of year, we buy it. But this is absolutely so rich and so good. We also topped it with fresh avocado, more cheese, and cilantro. You need to give this one a try. I think you'll like it. Now we're getting started on my favorite zucchini boats. I absolutely love making these. To a pan on the stove, add in a pound of ground turkey or any ground meat, a diced yellow onion, a dash of salt and pepper, then a half a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Break that ground turkey up and you're going to cook it through. This recipe is absolutely delicious. I've done it in the past with Italian sausage and it just is amazing. Anyway, over to a cutting board, I am going to slice 4 zucchinis in half lengthwise, and then I'm going to scoop out the inside of the zucchinis. The very first time I made this years ago, I thought this was going to be so hard to scoop the inside out. It's really easy to do. You just scoop it out with a spoon, and there you go. Very simple to do so. Now that my ground turkey's cooked through, I'm adding in 24 ounces of pasta sauce, and then you're going to give this a stir, let it cook together for a couple minutes, and then if you're a cheese fan, add in a half a cup of mozzarella cheese. If you're not a cheese fan, just don't add the cheese in, but give this a stir, let the cheese melt down. Now over to my large baking dish, I'm going to spray it with nonstick spray, and then if you're wondering what I'm doing with the inside of the zucchinis, like the leftover zucchini filling, I'm actually going to use it in a couple days for some spaghetti sauce. I'll just add it into my spaghetti sauce and it's going to make the spaghetti sauce go further, so I'll just keep it in my fridge. But I added the zucchinis into my baking dish. Now I'm going to scoop some of that ground turkey pasta sauce mixture right inside. I found it's easiest to do so with a cookie scoop. Anyway, over the top I'll sprinkle with a little bit more mozzarella cheese. I'll cover this with foil, bake it in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for 25 minutes. Then uncovered for an additional 10 minutes. These are absolutely delicious. I started making these about 4 years ago. I was super skeptical about them at first. I kind of thought it was an odd combination. I promise, just try these once and you will love them. I serve this with a side salad, and for the dressing, I use some of this Skinny Girl balsamic vinaigrette. I'm basically almost out of this dressing. I've been loving it recently. It's so good. Now we're making these tostadas, and to get this recipe started, we like to serve them with Spanish rice. My store was all out of the 7-minute Spanish style rice that I normally buy, so I opted for this rice. It did take longer to cook, but I do suggest you using the instant Spanish rice just to make it a little quicker. But this rice was good, so I just cooked it according to the package instructions. But while this was cooking away, I did start on my taco meat mixture. So over to the pan on my stove, I'm adding in 1 pound of ground turkey, or you could use ground beef, ground chicken, or any meat substitute. Break the ground turkey up and cook it through. Now that it's cooked through, I'm adding in a tablespoon of taco seasoning, along with 1/3 cup of water. Give this a stir and just coat the meat with the taco seasoning and the water. Now that the turkey is well coated, I'm going to take it off of the heat and I'm going to go over to my countertop, and I have a sheet pan lined with parchment paper. On my countertop, and I have a bag of tostadas right here. If you've never tried tostadas, they're kind of like large corn tortilla chips. They're really good. I place them on my sheet pan. Now I'm going to spread refried beans over the top, or you could use any beans or anything that you like. Place the taco meat on top of that and bake this in a preheated oven to 400 degrees for about 5 to 7 minutes. Once it's out of the oven, you could top your tostadas with anything that you like. I'm topping mine today with shredded cheese, shredded lettuce, diced onion, fresh tomatoes, and cilantro. But seriously, just top yours with anything you have on hand, or feel free to not top it with anything at all. I also topped mine with sour cream and served it alongside of the Spanish rice. I absolutely love tostadas. My mom used to make them when I was growing up sometimes, and they're just a great, affordable, delicious dinner. Now we're making these Greek meatballs with orzo, so we're going to start on the meatball mixture first. first. I'm using 1 pound of lean ground turkey for my meat, or you could use ground chicken or ground beef, whatever you prefer. Then I added in a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, 1/4 a cup of feta cheese, a tablespoon of minced garlic, 1/3 a cup of panko breadcrumbs, then 1/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of oregano, half a teaspoon of cumin, and then a teaspoon of onion powder. Next, I added in 1 egg along with the juice from a half of a lemon. Mix this all together. This is your meatball mixture. This might seem a little odd, but I'm spraying my hand with a little bit of nonstick spray. This is just so the meatball mixture doesn't stick to my hands. I made about 15 small to medium-sized meatballs, and I'm just rolling them out right now. After I was finished making these into meatballs, I brought them over to the pan on my stove. So over to the pan on my stove, I'm adding in about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Once my oil is hot, I added the meatballs right into my pan, and I cooked them on each side for about 2 minutes until my meatballs were completely cooked through. And then once they were cooked through, I removed them to a plate and I set this plate to the side. I made sure to leave all the flavorful bits in the pan, so to the same pan that I cooked the meatballs in, I added a tablespoon of olive oil and a tablespoon of minced garlic along with 1 cup of Orzo pasta. I gave this a stir, kind of scraping the bits off the bottom of my pan. Now I'm going to add in 2.5 cups of chicken broth along with 1/4 a cup of roasted red peppers. I just used part of this jar. If you don't want to use roasted red peppers, you could always use sun-dried tomatoes as a substitute. Next, I added in 1/4 a cup of sliced olives. Again, if you don't want to use the olives, you certainly don't have to. Lastly, I added in a tablespoon of lemon juice. I gave this a stir and I let this simmer covered for about 10 minutes. Of course, I did stir it often while it was simmering, but here's what it looks like. Now I'm going to add in about a teaspoon of dried dill along with 1/4 a cup of feta cheese. Give this another stir. Then you're going to add back in the meatballs that we cooked up earlier to let them warm through, and then it is ready to serve. If you're a fan of feta cheese and Greek flavors, you will absolutely love this dinner. We love it here at my house, and it really is just full of like fresh tasting flavors. Those meatballs are spot on good. Make sure you're subscribed down below the video so you don't miss the next video like this. I'll see you there. Bye for now.